Good morning. Anyone who's new here, there's several things I'd like to explain. First off, this microphone is not for you. It's for the people on YouTube or the people, everybody else. And so I'm a little awkward with it. I forgot to turn it on for the first ring. Also, you will notice that when the bell is sounded, there's that reverberation. And people will hold their hands together in Hapjang. And that is a teaching tool to help us remember to keep in mind that everything is impermanent. As this sound slowly fades away, it's a lesson in impermanence. Our second Sunday since the return, since the pandemic, we're getting more and more people since last week, but I can't wait until the potluck starts. Yes. Now, and the tea afterwards, the real tea. Please stand and let's begin our service with the recitation of the three refuge. And together we say, I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of unlearning, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the three jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I vow to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts.
May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts.
Now on the next page, and I apologize, young man, for not telling you the page. I apologize. We will do the Heart Sutra, the Mahapajna Paramita Sutra. The Mahaprajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion from the deep practice of Prajna Paramita perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but Prajna Paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in Prajna Paramita, proceed to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the Prajna Paramita is the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the Prajna Paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate,
Parasamyate Bodhisvaha Dhamma Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra.
Please be seated. The closing gathas, for those new, a translation, a good translation would be gone, gone, gone beyond the beyond, awake. And Susan used to translate Svaha as, whoopee. It's an ejaculation of happiness. All right? Many years ago, my teacher told me to always question what I believe, to always question what I'm doing, to always question everything that I believe. Just, why are you a Buddhist? Why are you a Republican or a Democrat? Why don't you like ice cream? I don't know. But to question everything we believe, everything we think we know, everything that guides our life. One of the reasons for that is that we don't get stuck in a rut. Once we're stuck in that rut, we can pass judgment on people without even getting to know the person. We can pass judgments on a situation without understanding that situation. One of the first, in fact, the first sutra I ever came across was the Kalama Sutta, which is very short. It's probably like that, not a full page. But, and most of you know that in this sutta, the sutra, there were a group of people called the Kalamas, and the Buddha was traveling around as he did, and he was coming to their village. And when he arrived, they were all excited. Here's the Buddha, a wise man, someone who knows and can help us. And they came to him with a really incredible question. Teacher, we have teachers coming here all the time, and one will tell us this, and the other one will tell us this. One will tell us, don't believe what he said because you'll go to hell. The other one will say, don't believe what he said because you won't go to heaven. They're all putting down everybody, and they're all saying they're right and everybody else is wrong. What do we do? What do we believe? The Buddha said, don't believe any of them. Don't believe sacred books. Don't believe tradition. Don't believe what your parents or your teachers tell you. Don't even believe what I'm telling you. The Buddha told them that, don't believe what I'm telling you until you have examined it, sat with it, looked at it, and come to understand it and know that it is good for you and everyone else. If it doesn't meet that criteria, let it go. That, more than anything else, held me to Buddhism. So that's part of the answer of why am I here? That's the question for today. Why? Why am I a Buddhist? Why am I a Buddhist teacher? And you can all do this yourselves and do it periodically. One of the No, I'm going to tell you two stories. One is about a man named Angulimala. Many of you know the story of Angulimala. He was born and given the name Amisaka, which means harmlessness. His parents got him into a very prestigious school. He did very, very well. In fact, he did extremely well and became a teacher's pet. And most people know what happens to teachers' pets. He was first off ridiculed and made fun of by the other students. But this turned into a real bullying and a real persecution. And some things happened. Was there a rape involved or accusation of rape or something?
Getting in with his wife.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, thank you. It was just too much for Amisaka. He stepped outside of reality because of all this nonsense going on. And he took up an interesting hobby. He became a serial killer. And it goes on and on. He started killing people, and his name, Angulimala, that's what his name became. If you understand anything of Sanskrit, you'll know the Angula, finger, and mala is a string of beads we wear around our neck. Angulimala, finger garland, finger necklace. He started cutting the index finger from the people he murdered and strung it on a neck. I can't imagine in India in that temperature what that necklace must have looked and smelled like. And he was going for 100.
1,000.
How much?
1,000.
I thought, why?
Because actually, it goes back to the bullying of the kids. I don't know. Kids do very well.
Yeah.
When he was with the teacher, the students would told the teacher that he had slept with his wife. And then the teacher got very furious and he told Amisaka at the time, you need to collect 1,000 fingers for me in order to complete your training as a Brahmin. And at first he didn't want to do it, but he wanted to make his parents proud, and he became delusional at this point. And so he had to get 1,000 fingers from each person, one person. So he can't just get 10 fingers from one person. And that's what the scriptures says, the backstory.
Thank you. So here he is living in the forest, killing people and cutting off fingers and stringing them on this necklace. Now, the local king sent out soldiers to get him. He was very wise. He was very quick, very agile. Remember, he was an excellent student, and he used his brilliance to help him. They couldn't find him. They couldn't get him. And the area around there became a terrified area. People would desert homes and everything. One day, guess who showed up? The Buddha. He's in the village begging for his daily meal, and he starts to walk a path that leads through the forest where Angulimala lives. And the people stopped him. Don't go that way, teacher. Don't go that way. Angulimala's in, he'll kill you. Teacher bowed, thanks him for warning, and he kept on going. To make a long story short, he ran into Angulimala. And he told Angulimala to stop doing what you're doing. And he asked him, why are you doing what you're doing? No one had ever asked him that before. And Angulimala told him his whole story. And the Buddha said, I understand. And the Buddha showed compassion and love. The first time anybody had ever done that since he became this killer. Angulimala took off his necklace and he fell to his face before the Buddha. And he asked to be taught this way of life. And he asked later on to be ordained. And the Buddha ordained him as a monk. Later on, the king was out looking for Angulimala, and the Buddha introduced him to him, And the king was so astounded at his change that he became his pupil. One story. Second story. There was a young woman married to a man a little older than her, and she was having a hard time conceiving. Finally, after trying for a while, she bore a son. Right quickly, that beloved son died. And she about went mad out of grief. And she went from house to house, from friend to friend, from person to person, carrying her dead child in her arms, asking them to help her. Some laughed at her, some ridiculed her, some felt sorry for her, some said, "Who has medicine for the dead?" One man took pity on her. He said, "I know somebody who probably can help you." She told him where the Buddha was at that moment. He was in a local monastery teaching. So she ran to see the Buddha because she knew he could help her. She came to the Buddha, and she sat outside the circle as he was teaching, and the Buddha saw her, and he asked her to come forward. He saw there was something there, something sad, and what is your story? What is wrong? What is your sadness? And she held up the body of her child. "I need help. Can you help me?" And the Buddha said, "Yes, I can help you. I want you to go and get me a handful of mustard seeds, and I will help you." Okay, she's excited now. She's got an answer, something she can do. She turns and starts to hurry away. The Buddha stopped her. "Keisha," her name is Keisha, "wait a minute. These mustard seeds you get have to come from a house where no one has ever died." This was India 2,500 years ago. There was probably no house on the planet where no one had died 2,500 years ago. Infant mortality. You cut yourself, you could die of an infection. But death was as common as bread. But she said, "I'll do it." So she went out and she went to the first house. "I need mustard seeds for my son." The Buddha said, "I need mustard seeds. Do you have any?" "Yeah." I can't take them though if anybody's ever died here. "You can't count the dead here." She went to the next house, told the same story. "I can't take these then. The Buddha said I had to come from a house where no one had ever died." She went to the next house. "My husband has died." Went to the next house. "My mother died." Next house. "My son died." She did that all day long. Finally, at the end of the day, it dawned on her what the Buddha was teaching her. She took the body of her child to the cremation grounds and burned him. Then she went to see the Buddha. And the Buddha said, "Do you have the mustard seeds?" She says, "No more with the mustard seeds. I understand. May I become a nun?" The Buddha ordained her. Now, both these stories were told by monastics, so I don't know if in either account they became monastics, but that's what the story has come down to it. But Angulimala was touched by the love of the Buddha, and Keisha came to understand that her son was not the only person to ever die, that she was not the only person to ever know pain at the loss of somebody you love dearly. It's not easy to lose somebody, but it is not a singular event. All of us have done that. All of us will do that. And one day each one of us will die, and we will have loved ones mourning us. But what I take, there's a lot of things I take from these stories, but what I take from these stories brings me back to that question at the beginning: why? Why am I here? Why am I a Buddhist? And why do I teach? One of the things that these two stories tell us is the Buddha listened. He listened to both of them. He listened to their story. He didn't listen to what other people were saying about them. He didn't pass judgment because of the way they were acting. He stopped and found out why they were here, why they were doing what they were doing. And that was one of the first things I learned in Buddhism within the Eightfold Path: correct, proper, right speech. Well, right speech is a two-way street. I speak properly, I speak clearly, I speak respectfully, but just as important is I listen. And I know from my own life that sometimes I don't listen. Sometimes if someone's talking to me, I've already passed judgment, whatever the judgment may be. I know what they're going to say, or I'm not even going to listen because I don't like their political party or their whatever. But so often, instead of listening to a person, we just hear them. And a lot of times we're almost taking notes. Okay, he said this, now I can jump on this, or I can come back at this. That's not what listening is about. The Buddha just taught us what listening is about. Listening is to hear, to hear, to hear, to hear the story, to understand the pain, to understand the anger, to understand the worry. And I am a great babbler. Ask anybody that knows me. I can babble for 27 days. Now, am I that good of a listener? I want to be. I don't know if I'm there. I try to be. I don't know if I'm there. But we all know that this is called a practice. Buddhism is a practice. So I try. I'm trying. Do my best. Sometimes I don't do my best, but I try. What's the saying? You fall down 7 times, you stand up 8. So to come back, why Buddhism? You know, I came from an extremely strict tradition. I was a Catholic. And we have rules and regulations, hardcore, very hardcore, about absolutely everything. The Buddha said, don't believe it. Don't believe it, no matter what you hear, until you have tested it, until you know that it's good for one and all. I don't think I answered my own question, why am I here? But maybe I did. I'm here because I want to learn. I'm here because I want to practice, and I find it's easier for me to practice within a community, to practice with people who are practicing. And do I screw up? Many times. Sorry. I can screw up badly, but I stand up that 8th time and I talk to people. I talk to people here. The smiling young man, Ichi Gaji. I can't remember that name. I apologize, but Gaji is a great one for me to bounce things off. Just a wonderful guy. Take his ear sometime if you want to dump some stuff. All right, now I'm going to ask, does anybody want to add anything to this? Anybody have a comment? Anybody have something you want to share? Would you be the mic person?
Gaji. I'll share a quick story that after I got into Buddhism, and this is probably why this happened, a year or so ago. No, it was before the COVID thing happened. So a couple of years ago, some neighbors, 3 neighbors called me and said, "Did you see that car sitting outside of your house?" And I said, "Yeah, I noticed there was a car there. I had walked by it earlier and I noticed there was a pillow in the back seat." And I thought to myself, somebody must be sleeping in their car and maybe they've decided to park in front of my house and sleep for the evening. So I didn't think that much of it. And then the neighbors called me. 3 of them called me and warned me. And one said, "We've called the police." And they said, "Did you see that couple that was there?" And I said, "No, there's nobody in the car. I haven't seen anybody." And they all warned me off, just like they had done to the Buddha. And I'm not comparing myself to him by any means, but they warned me off. And I thought about it, and I saw the couple then when I was looking out my window come back to the car, and I noticed it was a young couple. And I thought, well, I'm just going to go out and see how they're doing, and do they need any help? And so I went out there, and she opened the door, and their car had broken down. The transmission had stopped. And they were young, and they didn't have any money. You could tell that. I mean, I don't know if they did or not, but that's what I assumed. And so all my neighbors were wrong. I just went out and had a conversation with them. And then I did go back in the house, and I printed out a list of homeless shelters because they told me they were homeless. And then I went out with a tiny bit of money that I had. I just had a little bit of cash and gave it to him and told him to put it towards the fix of the transmission. But if I'd have listened to my neighbors, none of that would have happened. I would have been sitting in my house fearful, maybe calling the police, but all because of the Buddhist teachings. I knew that I needed to listen. So thank you.
Listening is very important.
Barb, right? Yeah. I would say that you did listen to your neighbors, but you also listened to your own heart.
Yeah.
And that's important. Yeah. So as Buddhists, did the Buddha ever call himself a Buddhist?
He wasn't creating religion, he was just helping people free themselves.
Right, right. So the Buddha never called himself a Buddhist or following the Buddhist path or whatnot. But what he did was he helped people. He helped. So with Angulimala, through his love, he helped Angulimala, and through his wisdom, he helped the young woman with the mustard seeds. Each of us being human beings, being who we are, where we are, have the capacity to help people with our wisdom and with our compassion, without suggesting in any way that we are, quote, Buddhists, because to some people, Buddhism is this weird fancy thing that's, by suggesting that you're Buddhist, you may cause some suffering. But just be another human being. Just be with that person. Listen. Be like, Barb, going down there and talking to them and listening, lending your ear. And sometimes, just by listening to them, they may say, "God bless you," and smile and thank them, because that is their wisdom and their compassion for you. And this is how the path of the Bodhisattva continues. So for all of us to remember that we're not Buddhists, we are who we are in the moment, and we do what we can, only what we can. The Buddha said at the end of his life, strive earnestly, and that's all we can do.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Patrick. This is the second service that I've been to, so some of you may not be familiar with me. And I guess what I'm going to say is it's acquired knowledge that I learned in a book. So, and a lot of people get freaked out by that. It's like you don't know Buddhism by reading about it. You need to experience it. And that's actually a large part of the content of this book. It comes at it from an angle of, I believe it's what they call Siddhanta, a city awareness, and that is to know something. And the only way you can know something is by experience. It's the book is called The Buddha Said, and it's drawn from one of the sutras. I don't know exactly what it's like, the Sutra of 24 chapters or something to that effect. But you come to these as you're reading this. It assumes that you already know the basics. It assumes that you know Vipassana meditation, that you understand emptiness, that you're familiar with the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita and the Tao Te Ching and all that. It just in the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Noble Path. It just assumes that you already know all that. That's just the basics. And it gets into this city awareness. And as you're reading this, the author doesn't describe. It doesn't tell you about these things. He just kind of skirts around it, and you just come to these epiphanies of like, oh wow, what a cool concept, and you feel as though you've drawn that conclusion yourself. You have a personal experience of it, not because of what they said about it, but because you personally experienced it. The story you told about the mustard seeds, I felt was similar. She had to come to that conclusion herself. She had to figure it out for herself. It wasn't because of what the Buddha said about it. It wasn't because he told her these are the steps to do that. It's because she had the experience and the awareness and came to it herself. So I just thought that was cool.
Patrick, one of the things that I think all of us in here are, except for perhaps D, I think all of us in here are book Buddhists. You're the only, oh, you weren't born a Buddhist, were you? Yeah. Yeah. And so probably everybody here came to Buddhism, came to understanding of it through a book, through many books. But it is, and it's important still to read and to understand and to see them. But it's this, the lived experience with our fellow practitioners, and even more important than that, the world out there. Because, as I said last week, if I'm in the woods by myself, I'm the greatest guy there is. I'm just the sweetest, nicest thing there is. If I'm in a checkout lane with somebody in front of me with 75 coupons, I can be a little bit irritated. And I don't like bragging about that, but I feel it. I don't let it do anything except blah, 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 blah. Breathe and let it go. Anyway. Why don't we've taken up a lot of our meditation time. We will sit for 12 or so minutes. All right. Please prepare yourself. Announcements. Young Sue, who is still in Sacramento, asked that I tell everyone, announce that next week after the service, he'll be hosting a meeting on the chaplaincy. All right. Anybody else? I have a question though for you, Poshi. I just wonder if you know yet when we may be able to start having our cheese.
We have a board meeting coming up this week, and we can certainly discuss that. Some of that with the Delta variant creates some complications. So, yeah, we'll be monitoring it, and when we do, we'll announce it. And that includes the potlucks as well. I think we're all anxious to do that, but we want to make sure that everybody's safe.
Did you want me to talk about? Yeah? Okay. All right. All right. So this is an entirely donation-run temple. Everyone who does anything here does so entirely by volunteer. Okay, that grammar wasn't quite right, but you get the idea. So we are very thankful for your presence and going out and being the best you, and also for donations. There are donation boxes at both ends. We also take donations on our website, and if you do any shopping on Amazon, despite the connotations, whatever, if you bookmark smile.amazon.com and start your browsing each time at smile.amazon.com, and you put in there Grand Rapids, it's going to come up as Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple and Zen Center. If you would put that in there, that would help. I think so far, since we started suggesting that, I think we've gotten maybe 1,000 orders. I don't know if that's per year or total, but it does help. That's part of Amazon's donation. So it doesn't cost you any extra, other than what they would normally charge you. Also, we are planning a silent auction. This will be first time since COVID. So it was 2 years, I think, previous to that was our last one. And that is tentatively scheduled for the weekend after Thanksgiving. So if you have any people that you need to buy presents for, maybe wait till after Black Friday and come to our auction. And then if you know anyone who is an artisan, if you have any ideas of something that would fit perhaps this place, the idea that we're sharing, and are willing and able to donate to the auction, that would be great. Be very helpful. Jake, you want to talk about the other thing we were discussing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
The silent auction will be December 4th.
December 4th. Yeah, for the silent auction, December 4th. Okay. Thank you. We are planning another cleanup day, but this is going to be for the exterior of the property and possibly the neighboring businesses too. So another volunteer opportunity, and this will be August 7th, Saturday, probably 9 in the morning. We'll be hands-on, pulling weeds, washing windows, cleaning up, picking up garbage. There's plenty of it. So if you have any questions, you can ask myself. My name is Jake or Brian. Yep. That will be in the newsletter hopefully this week.
Thank you. Yes.
The temple hosts, I think is the right word, a Buddhist-based recovery program that at present has 3 meetings a week. Monday evening, the meeting is here with meditation at 6:30, and the meeting takes place at 7. On Wednesday evening, the meeting is at the Alano Club on North College, meditation at 6:30, meeting at 7. And then on Friday morning, for those fortunate enough not to have to work on Friday morning, the meeting is here with meditation at 10, and the meeting takes place at 10:30. On Mondays and Fridays, the meeting, Zoom availability is there. So if you haven't been fully vaccinated or can't make the meeting here but still want to be a part of it, you can find the Zoom link on the weekly temple newsletter.
Thank you. One last announcement. The Thursday discussion group, 9:30, we are meeting at Wilcox Park by the tennis courts and discussing chapters 50. Do you remember the chapters? I don't remember the chapters. I'm sorry. But of Old Path, White Clouds. So
We won't stay at the tennis courts. That's where we'll meet. Didn't figure out where to go. All right. Why don't we stand up, stretch, and say our closing gathas. Page 9. Page 9. No, you can stay. For all unskillful actions, after arguing my needs of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passions, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. The last gatha, the vow, the Bodhisattva vows, go out and live. I'll try.